Now, I just got back from a week of camping and fishing down in the Shenandoah National Park, mostly small brook trout waters, the Rapidan, the Robinson, and the Rose River, but I did spend one day floating for smallmouth on the Shenandoah. My guide was Zach from Blue Ridge Fishing Adventures, and I can highly recommend him if you're ever down that way and want to go chasing some smallmouth. Look him up. We put in at Alma, Virginia, and floated a little over 6 miles to the landing at White House. And the first fly Zach recommended was a TeQueely. And I've tied this thing before. I can't ever remember using it. I just don't fish big smallmouth water very often. But I was throwing this thing heavily weighted in a size 4 with a 6-weight rod, so way bigger than I'm used to fishing. And I'm going a little smaller than the one I'm about to show you. I'm going to tie this in a size 8, which will just make it a more useful fly for me. Now, I'm sure smallmouth and big browns will take this thing in a size 8, but it'll allow me to fish it with a 3-weight, which is pretty much my go-to rod here on the Savage and Gunpowder rivers. So stick around after the tie if you want to see a couple minutes of me fishing this thing on the Shenandoah River last week. So there it is in the vise, a TeQueely. Now note this one's a little bit smaller than the one I was fishing this past weekend. I'm tying this on a size 8. It's a 3 extra long streamer hook. I'm going to go ahead and pinch this barb and put a bead on it. And I'm going with a cone bead. I just like cones better for my streamers. Probably doesn't matter. I think a round bead would be just fine, but I am going to weight it because these cone beads aren't all that heavy. About 8 wraps of 0.25 weight here. And I'm going to go with black in 140 denier here. Put a little dam behind the weight, a few wraps over it, then we'll take it back to the start of the bend. Now for the tail, we're going to tie in 3 tufts of Marabou. And the original recipe calls for yellow, black, yellow. I didn't have yellow, so I'm going with a ginger. It's kind of a yellow, but also it's going to match the body a little better, I think. So we'll catch that first small to medium-sized tuft in of the lighter color. Now we'll do the same thing with the black here, and maybe about the same length. And maybe this is a little smaller of a tuft here. So I think we just want a little hint of black in it. Now I'm going to take another tuft of the lighter color, and I'm going to try to do it about the same length here. Okay, I think that right there should work. Okay, now I've got each of those tied in with 2 wraps. Now this is a kind of a tricky part, I would say, and I don't know if this is necessary or not, but I want to bulk up my body a little bit. So I'm going to gather these 3 strands right here and just kind of catch them in up front. I mean, pull them along the length of the hook here, just a few, not tight wraps, just kind of open wraps. So that's going to bulk up my body a little bit. I can do a few tighter wraps right here and then snip all this excess. And now I'll just take a few loose wraps right here, not really binding it, but just kind of getting my thread to the back. And the body, it's an orange or brown or rust or root beer colored cactus chenille. I'm going to mix this up a little bit. I've got a brown and a kind of an orangish gold here. So I'm going to catch both of these strands in, and that'll give me a little bit more bulk as well, using 2 strands here. Okay, after you got that caught in, we're going to tie in 3 sets of legs. So I would say maybe a third of the way up, leave your thread. And we're going to catch in yellow legs. So I just got a small little piece here. I folded it over. This is maybe a 2-inch piece folded over in half, gives me 1 inch on each side. And I'm going to do 2 wraps right here on top, not tight. And then I'll do 2 right here, kind of a little figure 8. And then that is going to be my first set of legs. I'll go ahead and snip this right here so you can see. So I've got 4 legs coming off right now. We're going to do the same thing right here in the middle. I'll go ahead and open this one up too. And now we'll do the front set of legs here. That one I'm a little farther up than I want, so let's go ahead and back it up just a little bit here. And let's open this one up. Okay, let's get our legs situated, and you can kind of position them when you wrap this chenille up as well. So I really wouldn't even worry about it. Most of the ones I've seen do have the legs coming off kind of perpendicular, but this fly just has all kinds of crazy action in the water with these legs. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna wrap these up in between all these legs, and I'll speed this up because this is gonna take me a minute or two to get these right. But what you can do, you can put some of these wraps on top of each other, and then in between them, that's where you have to be careful. So, you know, pull these back with your fingers and then get them up through there, and just, you know, take your time if you need to. But again, if it ends up being a little bit shaggy, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Okay, now let's catch this cactus chenille off up front. Several wraps, you might want to go over and under just to really make sure you're locked in. Now we'll give it a quick whip finish and see if we want to trim those legs any. So there we go, they're coming off all over the place. I can trim them if I want, but you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. I think we got a nice looking fishable fly. So that's it, my friends. I appreciate you watching. Stick around a couple of minutes if you want to see me fishing this thing on the Shenandoah River last week. Good morning, coming to you today from the Shenandoah River. I'm fishing with Zach from Blue Ridge Fishing Adventures. I'm fishing today with a 6-weight, and I'm throwing TeQueely. It's about a size 4, pretty chunky fly, a little bit bigger than I'm used to fishing, but there are some big smallmouth in here. Let's see if we can't get any of them to hit. All right, I'll try not to hang up as you go through these fast water here.
These short little ripples aren't a big deal. We can always get it stopped pretty quick here. Could be 40 or 50 yards of fast water. Run out of line real quick.
Yep. Yep. There's one. All right, he feels decent. Of course, a 10-incher feels pretty strong too.
And you get them in the little bit of current there.
Yeah.
They're a blast.
Oh, nice little fighter. There we go, fairly standard for the day. Oh, that was one.
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
At the end.
At the end of the drift. Come on, little buddy.
Even better out there in that current. Give you a real
Yeah,
picture.
yeah, it is. All right, come on up, buddy. All right, pretty standard smallmouth for the day. Fun fighter though, nice little fish. Oh, there's one. And I was not recording yet. And we got a jumper. Wow, these guys are amazing fighters. There's one. Oh, I saw him come up and just gently took it.
Yeah. Nice. Chunky bluegill?
Yeah, it is.
Chunky bluegill.
There we go. Hold that up for the camera.